How you doing? Brian Sims here for the Perfection Movement, and my very first vlog, which is blog plus video, vlog, get it? Took me a while to put that together. And I kind of want to introduce you to what the Perfection Movement actually is. And when I was going through all this material, this personal development material, it kind of dawned on me that everything that we have, or that everything that we need, really is sort of already custom built inside of us, you know. Everything from like the law of attraction, you know, what you think is what you get, to, you know, stress and anxiety and how to cure those sort of things, to relationships and you know, even if you study a lot of this information too, you find very successful people, you know, especially like rags to riches stories, people who didn't have much growing up and now they're, of course, they have mega empires, that they generally did all this by themselves, or at least they knew and had a belief that they could do this by themselves. And I think one of the very first keys to all of this, to the Perfection Movement, is to understand that you are absolutely 100% in control of your life. Before I came to that conclusion, I always would blame other people for my problems. You know, my boss was a problem, my whatever my money situation was, you know, it was always the credit card companies that were the problem. When my relationships, it was always the other person. It was the spouse that was causing me anxiety, causing me pain. And as soon as I realized that where I was in my life was 100% because of how I was and the choices that I had made in the past, I was able to correct those choices, and now here I am. And that's really sort of the core of all of this. But it also is understanding that everything that you need to be happy, to be, you know, wealthy, to have that perfect relationship, is already custom built inside of you. And I can remember, I've been in the same industry, I've been in the radio industry for about 22 years, and when I first got into it, I was actually 17 years old, and I'd had a conversion experience with a Christian church, and was going to a Bible study, and I was relatively new to religion at that point. I'd had some experiences, you know, growing up, Sunday school and that sort of thing, but never anything that was really a constant thing in my life. And I remember I was at this Bible study, and they asked us to write down what we felt was our mission statement for God. And I had written down that I felt that God wanted me to broadcast good news over the radio and television waves. And I believed it to my core. I just knew that God wanted me to do this. And really, I also have always had the motivation inside of me, and something built inside of me to want to motivate and help other people, which is what I'm doing now, of course, later on in my life, but again, I've always felt that was in there. And when I first started going to church and that sort of thing, I just knew that if I told God I wanted to do this, that he'd be on board. Well, shortly after that, I got a girlfriend whose parents had a radio show. I was invited to go on the radio show. I ended up going out to dinner with them, and they told the owners of the station that I had this passion. And they ended up taking me back to the studio. I read a couple of lines off of a Focus on the Family liner, which was a radio show back then, and got a call then from the program director, the manager of the station, and he told me that I have some of the best raw talent he'd ever heard, and I ended up getting a job. This was about 2 to 3 months after I'd written this down in this Bible study. Flash forward a handful of years, and when I reflect back on that experience, what it reminded me of was that I knew without a shadow of a doubt that that's what I was supposed to do. I knew when I was writing it down, and even though at the time when I wrote it down I didn't know any of these connections, through the law of attraction it was able to be brought up to me. You know, at the time I said that was God that made that happen and opened those doors, and I still do believe that. I believe that God has already put everything inside of us, that we are sort of custom made with all the tools that we need in order to be the most efficient here on this planet. And so I don't take any credit away from him on that, because I do believe that there is a God, and I believe that they put these custom-built systems already inside of us, you know, these laws that we can tap into to make us more successful in life. So that's really going to be the nuts and bolts of the Perfection Movement. As we continue through this, though, I will go and touch on a bunch of different series. I think obviously relationships is a big thing. If you're single, dating, we're going to talk a lot about that. That's something that I've had some success with, and I'll be able to pass on to you as well. With your work, you know, what sort of goals are you setting? What do you want to do? What is it that you want? We'll talk about that a lot too. What do you want? Because that one question a lot of people have a hard time answering. And so we're going to give you some good tools that you can use to really dig out what's inside of you, that's already custom built inside of you and help you get on the right track. So once again, welcome to the Perfection Movement. My very first vlog, and I